I thought retreating to my late grandfather's cabin in the rolling hills of Willow Creek, Oregon, would be my ticket to serenity. It was April 2023, and after months sorting out my dad's estate, I was craving the quiet of those pine-scented trails and childhood summers. Man, was I in for a shock. The moment my pickup rolled into the driveway, I became the prime target of Marla Grayson, the self-appointed queen of the Pine Hollow Homeowners Association. 3 police calls, a stack of fake violation notices, and relentless harassment followed, all because she pegged me as some spineless newcomer she could bully. Marla thought she ruled this quiet valley like a dictator, untouchable, with the power to crush anyone who dared defy her. What she didn't know was that she'd just picked a fight with someone who could unravel her entire empire with a single pen stroke. When she finally realized who I was, her world imploded in a way you'd have to see to believe. Picture me pulling up to the cabin, dust kicking up under my tires, feeling that warm glow of coming home. The place was just as I remembered, cedars siding weathered by time, the porch swing creaking in the breeze. I was ready to kick back, maybe grill some burgers and soak in the silence. But as I stepped out, coffee mug in hand, a gag gift from my coworkers that read World's Most Average Guy, I froze. My front door was plastered with neon yellow violation notices, flapping like warning flags. We're talking dozens, citing $3,800 in fines for neglected property maintenance. Neglected? I'd been gone settling my dad's estate. And yeah, the grass was a bit shaggy, but $3,800? Before I could even process it, a voice sliced through the morning air, sharp as a knife. You're trespassing on private property. I turned to see Marla Grayson, striding toward me like she owned the whole damn county. She was decked out in what I can only call HOA war gear, a laminated badge swinging from her neck, a clipboard clutched like a shield, and get Thesa vest emblazoned with community standards enforcer in glittery rhinestones. I'm standing there in flannel pajamas, flip-flops, and holding a screwdriver. I was about to install a new doorbell, and she's glaring at me like I'm Al Capone. I've already called the sheriff, she declared, her voice dripping with triumph. Armed intruders with suspicious tools won't be tolerated here. Armed. I glanced down at my screwdriver, my mug, my flip-flops. If this was her idea of a threat, then Bob the Builder must be on a wanted poster somewhere. Within minutes, 2 sheriff's deputies rolled up, lights flashing. Marla sold her story with Oscar-worthy conviction. This individual's been surveilling our community and is now attempting to break into this abandoned cabin with burglary tools. She pointed at my screwdriver like it was a smoking gun. The lead deputy, a guy with a mustache straight out of a Western, looked at me, then at the screwdriver, then back at Marla. I could see him fighting a smirk. I handed over my ID, the cabin's deed, and my inheritance papers. Sir, the deputy said, his patience thinning, this man owns the property. He pays more taxes than half this neighborhood. Marla's face twitched, like someone had just yanked the rug out from under her. But she wasn't done. She whipped out her phone, flashing blurry photos of my old Jeep parked in my own driveway, labeled suspicious vehicle activity. The deputies barely glanced at them, clearly done with her theatrics. They left with a warning about false reports, and I thought that might be the end of it. I was wrong. That evening, as I sipped coffee on the porch, a kind-faced woman named Clara Thompson crossed the street with a plate of warm oatmeal cookies. I'm so sorry about Marla, she said, glancing nervously at Marla's house. She's driven out 4 families in 2 years with her nonsense. 3 police calls, 1 CPS report, you name it. Clara leaned in, her voice dropping. I've got photos of her questionable stuff, if you're interested. My curiosity piqued. This wasn't just a nosy neighbor. Marla was running a one-woman reign of terror. And here's the kicker. She thought I was just some desk jockey because I mentioned I worked in data processing for the government. She had no clue I audited tax-exempt organizations like her precious HOA for a living. I decided to let her keep thinking I was harmless. Sometimes, the best way to win is to let your opponent underestimate you. A week later, I'm knee-deep in fixing up the cabin, hammering away at what must be the most controversial mailbox in Oregon history. It's a standard black one from Lowe's, nothing fancy, but I could feel Marla's eyes boring into me from her window. Sure enough, she's snapping photos with a tablet, probably documenting my illegal construction. Then I hear her on the phone. I need to report unpermitted structures. the subjects wielding a screwdriver in a threatening manner. Threatening? I'm sitting cross-legged, reading the instruction manual like it's a novel. The sheriff's deputy who showed up this time looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. He glanced at my receipt, the mailbox, and Marla's tactical clipboard setup. "Ma'am," he sighed, "it's a mailbox. I've got one just like it." Marla doubled down, presenting a folder labeled Operation Community Watchdog with photos of me carrying groceries, suspicious movement, checking my mail, potential surveillance, and watering my lavender patch, evidence tampering. The deputy shut her down. "This is normal homeowner stuff. People can walk to their own doors." Clara came by later with a stack of photos and emails documenting Marla's 2-year harassment campaign. She targeted minorities, retirees, single parents, anyone she thought wouldn't fight back. The evidence was chilling. Fake violation notices, trumped-up fines, even a call to CPS over a family's unkempt lawn. But what really caught my eye were the HOA's financial postings on the community board. Red flags everywhere. $19, $500 in community upgrades, with no visible improvements, skyrocketing admin fees, and landscaping costs that matched grocery receipts. This wasn't just bullying, it looked like straight-up fraud. I kept my mouth shut, though. Marla still thought I was a nobody, and I wasn't about to tip my hand. By week 3, Marla's paranoia hit fever pitch. She'd set up a surveillance post in her driveway tripod, notebook, the works like she was hunting a spy. She'd dug up my government-issued plates, hit a wall with my blocked credit checks, and freaked out over my scrubbed social media. To her, I wasn't a data processor. I was a ghost with something to hide. Clara, now my unofficial informant, showed me a timeline of Marla's targets. A Latino family driven out over code violations, an elderly widow harassed into a hospital stay, a young couple smeared with false CPS claims. The financials were worse. Marla had billed a Vegas trip as an HOA leadership summit. I decided to have some fun. During a work call about a real IRS case, I stood near our shared fence, projecting my voice. Systematic financial irregularities in nonprofits trigger full audits. Tax-exempt status revocation is on the table. Marla dropped her pruning shears and bolted inside, pale as a sheet. Her next move was pure desperation. She called the sheriff again, claiming I was an undercover federal agent conducting illegal surveillance. A detective showed up this time, not a deputy, with backup. Marla marched out with a bound dossier color-coded, laminated, with a table of contents labeled Federal Conspiracy Evidence. It had photos of me checking my mailbox, reconnaissance, a recording of me saying, "Have a nice day," Marla, veiled threats, and fake neighbor statements claiming I'd interrogated them. The detective reviewed it with the patience of a saint, then turned to me. "Sir, I need to verify your identity." I'd had enough. Marla stood there, smug in her sparkly vest, clutching her dossier. I pulled out my badge and credentials. Evan Carter, Senior Tax Compliance Officer, IRS Nonprofit Division. I oversee tax-exempt compliance for organizations like this HOA. The silence was deafening. Marla froze, her face draining of color like someone had pulled her plug. The detective double-checked my ID, then turned to her, his tone icy. "Ma'am, you've been filing false reports against a federal officer." I added, "I'll need copies of all complaints for documentation. This harassment may constitute interference with an IRS official. I'm opening a formal review of this HOA, effective immediately." Marla stumbled back to her house, her empire crumbling. Clara appeared, grinning, with a bowl of popcorn. Neighbors peeked out, sensing history unfolding. That night, I overheard Marla on the phone with her lawyer. "I think I've been harassing the IRS. How bad is this?" Spoiler, very bad. The next morning, I was back on duty. My supervisor laughed when I explained how my vacation turned into a fraud case. "Only you, Evan," he said. "Send me everything." Clara handed over 3 years of evidence. Fake receipts, personal expenses billed as HOA costs, a pattern of targeting vulnerable residents. Marla's moves got sloppier. She tried bribing me with $700 cash in an envelope labeled Community Thank You, which I recorded as evidence. She jammed her shredder trying to destroy financial records, and her attempt to transfer $2,800 from the HOA account got flagged by the bank. Her emergency HOA meeting to vote out federal oversight was a flop. Clara live-streamed it, and the neighborhood group chat exploded with memes. Marla's final gambit was a TV interview claiming federal persecution. Dressed in a wrongfully accused volunteer sash, she gave a teary speech about her selfless service. The reporter, armed with Clara's evidence, obliterated her. MS. Grayson, why were grocery receipts submitted as landscaping costs? Marla's meltdown denial, anger, tears, and a confession to borrowing funds went viral. My own interview was calm. Tax compliance protects honest communities. Stealing from neighbors while harassing them isn't leadership, it's crime. The charges hit hard. 18 months in prison for tax evasion, $40,000 fine, mail fraud, bribery, civil rights violations, and obstruction. Marla was arrested on live TV, screaming about conspiracies in a deep state victim shirt. A year later, in April 2024, Pine Hollow's a different place. Clara's HOA leadership is transparent monthly meetings, open budgets. Property values are up 25%, and we've got block parties instead of violation notices. My career's soaring. I'm now regional director, and Marla's case is IRS training material. She's in prison, hilariously assigned to the tax prep office, where she's racked up violations for trying to reorganize the system with smuggled flowcharts. Then came her letter, applying to be an IRS informant to catch real HOA fraudsters, claiming her crimes were misunderstandings. I laughed so hard I nearly spilled my coffee. Her audacity's now a case study in denial. Marla thought she could bully a nobody, but she picked a fight with the one guy whose job is stopping people like her. Justice rolled in, the community healed, and karma hit like a freight train. So, what do you think? Did Marla deserve a second chance, or was her punishment too light? Could you forgive someone who terrorized your neighborhood, or would you push for harsher consequences? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button if you love the drama, and subscribe for more stories where bullies get what's coming.